Hello, hello. Welcome to the show because you are now tuned into a brand spanking new Monday Night Live. That's right. AKA the Hangout Stream, AKA the Chill Stream, baby. All fired up, ready to have some fun for September 11th, 9/11, 2023, and brought to you by you know who. Yours truly, the man, broadcasting from behind the curtain. You know who I am. Because if you don't know by now, you can visit www.livefreeliverich.com. I've been around for quite some time now. But if you don't believe me, you can always Google this name. And you'll find out quick, fast, and in a hurry. Trust me. Let's see what I have lined up for you tonight. Have you adopted a sports fan type of mentality for the arts and entertainment? You might find out tonight during our Hot Topics segment. AI, my ass. That's the subtitle of tonight's reading time material. And speaking of reading, I also have a book tag video. That's right, a book tag video to participate in for featured media. But before I get to all that, I like to take this time, slide right inside my first segment of the night, where I like to shine a spotlight on some books. That's right, that are currently available or coming soon to an online store near you. Yes, it's true. Let's see what we have up first tonight. From Daniel Humphreys, good old Mr. Humphreys. We're going to be continuing with Mr. Humphreys' book series with the next installment of his Paxton Locke books. This one is entitled The Dragon and His Wrath by Daniel Humphreys. All right, there is the book cover. Let's check out that blurb. From the Dragon Award nominee, Daniel Humphreys. England is under the thrall of a dragon. Paxton Locke can do nothing about it. In shock after the disastrous battle with Alistair Knight, Division M is grounded, ordered to do nothing as England falls into chaos. Paxton is left with little to do but focus on the yawning hole of his life. In his life. However, the supernatural never takes a break, and the team is soon embroiled in a fight with the void that reaches the very top of the U.S. government. And Pax, who has never been able to let anything go, regardless of the cost, will not leave England to its fate, even if that means taking a stand against everyone and everything he loves and respects. So, Daniel Humphreys adds at the bottom here, he says, Harry Dresden's sorcery goes on a supernatural style road trip. Cool car, sold separately. 265 pages of horror, paranormal and urban fantasy, horror literature, and fiction. Of course, all these books are suggested to me directly by the publishers themselves, whether they are a self-published author or it comes from an independent label or a small press company. So we have up next. This next one comes from Miles Beckler. It says, thanks. Here's my latest book. I hope you like it. Well, let's check it out. This is a long title here. This one is The Last Wizard of Aracroft, Volume 5 and 1/2, Master of Masontown, Part 2, by Miles Beckler. I don't really know what to make of that title, but perhaps we'll find out. I think it's a kind of a whimsical type of story. All right. Very short blurb here. It says, in the city of Masontown, the wizard and his compatriots must free their friends and escape a tyrannical baron, all while dodging danger at every turn. Very straightforward, to the point. Reading age, target age range, it looks like middle grade, kind of 12 to 18 years. 271 pages, however, of no category on this one. But if I had to guess, looking at just, I don't like judging a book by its cover, but if I had to guess, it looks like kind of a whimsical kind of tale. Whimsical adventure. I like getting a bit of a mix. I like when there's a mix. I don't like just getting all, the same genre week in and week out. And kids need entertainment too. And we have one more book for you in this first segment here. And this one had come from the Discord server. So no social media to show. It just comes directly from a link that was shared on the Discord server. We'll be talking about that later on, how you guys can get involved in that. This one is called The Inter-Terrestrial by Chad Descoteaux. So let's check this one out. All right, there's the cover. That looks pretty cool. An alien scientist has a half-human inter-terrestrial son on the primitive planet of Earth. Don't ask, don't tell, as far as that goes. Aliens from neighboring planets, Mars and Venus, think they own the Earth and are adamant that it not be used by higher species without their consent. For 20 years, this alien father has been trying to figure out a way to get back to this forbidden planet to see his son, desperately looking for an opportunity to present itself. But how did this inter-terrestrial come to be? How has his human mother protected him on a planet where many people hate and fear what is different? And what role would this hybrid play in proving that humans are not inferior to our alien brethren? 248 pages of science fiction adventure space operas, space opera science fiction. Almost sounds like an emphasis on the opera part, perhaps a little soap opera type story there. Thank you for sharing that. I'd like to thank all the publishers this week for sharing their links with me. And that's it for the books for this week. And those of you watching this on the replay, you know what the deal is. Head on over to that community tab. You can cast your vote for which one out of those 3 books you thought had the most text appeal. That's right. In other words, which one out of those 3 aforementioned titles would you be most likely to pick? And if you'd like to discover more from the independent market, you can head on over to my Shorts tab or my Playlist tab and open yourself up some mystery packs. Inside each mystery pack reveals a cover card that reveals a book that was recognized from the independent market by the Live Free, Live Rich Network. And inside the description section of each video, you will find a link that will take you to an editorial written specifically on that piece of work by yours truly. Yep. Speaking of reviews, let's head on over to the next segment that I call the Reader's Review. In the Reader's Review, have you read some indie books? How have you been doing? Are you active in the indie scene? Are you reading indie book titles? If so, share a link with me to one of your reviews. You're someone who not only reads indie books, but you also write reviews. I want to use this segment to highlight you. Highlight your efforts to raise awareness for some of these books that are out here on the independent market. Doesn't matter to me whether you had a positive experience or a negative experience with a book. Just share a link with me. This is not about blowing smoke up the author's asses. You're not beholden to them in any shape, fashion, or form. This segment right here is strictly about highlighting readers, period. So what I'm looking for is short form reviews, basically. So think like any kind of like third-party website. So if you have like a Goodreads account, then just share a link to a Goodreads review that you published. Or if you posted something on your social media and you gave like a rating, or you just made a post on social media about a book, then you can share that with me. Another way is if you have like a Booktube channel, or if you just want to like come on to the show just in person and share your experience live on the air. I might be open to making some time for you, kind of bring you onto the show. You could do a little spot. We can kind of get to know one another, become a little bit acquainted in that way, one reader to another, and talk about an indie title that you've read. Okay, you can share your experience with me, and then a third way is you indie authors specifically. If a reader has taken the time to read one of your books, and not only read one of your books, but actually took the time out of their day to sit down, think about it, and leave a review on one of your books, then you can share that with me. You can share if you want to, recognize a reader that kind of went above and beyond to give one of your books the time of day. I think that's important that readers are recognized, because without readers, let's face it, the indie scene is literally just a bunch of indie authors saying, buy my book, buy my book. And that's not really anything. That's just sales. That's just marketing. That's not a culture. That's not a scene. That's just people using social media to just shill their work. Well, it seems like I'm making good time tonight. I do have a nice full show for you guys. So I don't know how long I kind of want to stretch things out, but I suppose before we kind of get into the fun parts of the show, which I have put in quite a bit of prep work, I think what I'm going to do here, if you're stopping by live, go ahead. You can say hi. No need to be shy. Okay, no need to be shy. Just say hi. I like to know who took the time to stop by. All right, you know the deal. Let's get into some announcements. Scratch that. I got to prepare my slides here. All right. Let's run that again. Let's get into some announcements. All right. For those of you want to get the easiest way to get your work noticed here on the show is I want to raise awareness. This show is all about just raising awareness. Okay. This isn't about promotion per se. It's really just about raising awareness. And the easiest way to get your work noticed by me is to step up and stand behind your products. Step up, stand behind what it is you create. And one way that you could do that is weekly. What I do on Twitter is I'll do a weekly indie outreach, where kind of like I call out to people, where I kind of share a highlight reel of the previous week's show, but also gives other people a chance to kind of hop on board and start sharing some links with me. But another way you can do that is down in the show notes down below, I share 2 links to our group servers. One is the Gilded server. The other is the Discord server. And either one of those servers, you can join either one. Join them both if you want. Doesn't really matter to me, make a difference as far as that goes. They're both pretty much set up the same. I have all these different channels laid out in these sections where you can share various different types of links, videos, books, your book club announcements, buddy reads, crowdfunding campaigns, what have you. You name it, there's probably a spot where you can share that. However, the motto of the show is don't think, just share the link and I'll figure it out. So when in doubt, don't think, just share the link and I'll figure it out. That's my job. For you writers out there, I'm still making a concerted effort to kind of reach out to all the writers in the so-called, writing community, indie community, and that are interested in networking specifically, making real, like, professional connections. Professional here, I say professional, of course, with a little asterisk on top. I would say that I kind of use the term professional loosely, but I think you know what I mean by that. And I have an opportunity that I'd like to present to those of you who would like to kind of connect with me, connect with my peers in the writing community. And that is a project that I call the Storytellers Society. The Storytellers Society, still accepting open submissions. This is a public collaborative project, basically an outreach program, really, for my peers in the writing community. What I'm looking for is flash fiction for this project. Flash fiction for this project is fiction that is between 500 all the way up to 2,000 words. This can be fiction that you actually have published somewhere else, so long as you own the copyright and you have the right to give me permission to republish it on my blog, where it will be free for public viewing from now and indefinitely. Just because you submit something doesn't mean that your work will automatically be published. It does need to be approved, but if approved, then you'll effectively book yourself a room at what I've dubbed the Hotel del SS, where all the members of the Storyteller Society stay. Yes, details for that always down in the show notes down below. You just got to scroll down a little ways, and then underneath where I've labeled the announcements, you'll see a link there to the Storyteller Society project. And one more piece of news here, one more piece of housekeeping. If you'd like to stay on the up and up with what's going on with the Live Free, Live Rich brand in its entirety, you can head on over to livefreeliverich.com. Right there on the homepage. I've made it very convenient for you. You could just go ahead, drop me an email address, and you'll join my newsletter list. You subscribe to my newsletter that I send out one newsletter per week, every Saturday, that will provide you with all the pertinent links from the previous week. Keeping it short, keeping it sweet, and keeping things moving, folks. Let's get, I suppose this kind of goes without saying, but if you have some news, you can share your news with me. Like I said before, you join the Discord server or the Gilded server. There's all those different spots where you can share different news, but you can just share your news with me if you think it's something that's worth announcing during a live stream. But again, like I always say, when in doubt, don't think, just share the link and I'll figure it out. Keeping things moving. Let's get into some reading time. I think we got something about AI for this one. I'll be honest, I'm just not 100% sure what it is that I'm going to be reading, but fuck it. I'll fucking give it a shot. So this comes from Joe Kunis from Facebook. It says, who you calling a bot, Willis? The Book of Joe, Chapter 3. This is epistle to the Persnicketys. Subtitled AI, ? My ass. More likely, artificial idiocy or insidiousness. Got my attention already. I'm going to be checking out what's called the Book of Joe, Chapter 3. So I'm not sure if this is like kind of a journal written as like a journal entry, or if this is like literally like an actual novel that this individual has written and just published on their blog. I suppose I'll find out. It's always interesting to see what people will share on the internet. You know what I mean? Like, I think like sometimes when people are just like sharing links online, like I don't know if they always like I don't know if they always like keep, you know, context in mind when they're doing such things. You know what I mean? Like, in other words, they might not realize like they're sharing a link with a complete stranger who may never have heard of them before or their project before. So I'm not really, so just to like kind of do the author justice, like I'll just kind of give a little preamble here that I have, you know, I'm going into this blind just like you are, and I have absolutely no idea what this Book of Joe is all about. I have no backstory on this author whatsoever or this blog. So I'm literally just reading what the author themselves decided to share with me. So this is why I try to make it a point to say, well, I won't say anything yet. Let's just go ahead and get into this. Does sound interesting though. Okay, so this comes from jjkunis.com. The Book of Joe, Chapter 3. We got a warning here. We got a trigger warning, perhaps. It says the following journal. Okay, so perhaps it is like a journal. The following journal of random bloviating is apt to include explicit language from time to time. They're just fucking words. Okay, don't be priggish for the benefit of your contemporaries. Get over it. Your preteen, if you have one or more, is currently discovering them on their own without your knowledge and taking every opportunity to wear them out like the soles of their thumbs on their cell phone. A little bit of an abrasive warning there from JJ Kunis. AI, my ass. As a species, we have pretty lofty opinion of ourselves if we believe we are capable of developing artificial intelligence based on our historical track record as an evolutionary life form. If we're to be honest, it should more properly be labeled artificial idiocy or insidiousness. After all, we are constantly warring with and harming ourselves. We have yet to master feeding, clothing, educating, and looking after each other and our planet. Wealth is in the hands of a few, and the masses are largely destitute. The human race is at the mercy of a small group of hoarding, selfish fucktards and their legion of piggle whores. What? I don't think I've ever heard of that word, piggle whores. I'm gonna have to Google that one real quick. I like the sound of it, but I've never heard of that. Brief intermission here, folks. I like to do this when I come across an interesting word. Is that a made-up word? Not a word. Not a word. Perhaps a play on words. Perhaps a play on words. Sir, is this... Tell me this article right here that I'm reading is not generated by AI. That would be the ultimate kind of fucking troll. All right, let's keep it going. Our insecurity, however, it seems a bit too impassioned. If I'm to be honest, so far, this seems a little bit too impassioned for it to be imagined, let's just say, by an artificial intelligence. Our insecurity is on constant display as we perpetually feel propelled, or are maybe herded like lemmings to slap self-defined labels on everything, despite not having fully mastered the use of any of the world's languages. I guess humans have a need to belong to a group no matter if they don't agree with every item on the menu. Ain't that the truth? This is no doubt something fostered and encouraged by the fucktards, thereby making it easier to control, herd, and subserviate the masses. No sooner had Christ, Mohammed, et al., your Messiah name here, left the planet, did unscrupulous people begin scheming and seeking ways to transform simple messages of empathy into a money-making operation for their own enrichment with complex rules, fantasy parameters, and ghastly fates for those who failed to comply. Of course, there were tithes, or more tasteful name for tax, necessary to lavishly feed, clothe, shelter, and entertain themselves, friends, and guardians. Some shrewd friends and guardians who weren't fully on board with the entire menu would sometimes splinter off, forming their own versions of the religion when they could enhance their own status by attracting away a portion of the base with a tweaking of the previously laid down rules, parameters, and fates that were supposedly set in stone, except when there was coin to be made or siphoned by kneading the stone. Voltaire said, "Religion began when the first scoundrel met the first fool." End quote. I think he was on to something. Religious categories were neither the first nor the last category of neat boxes. Color of the skin provided a simple means of labeling for the mentally challenged, though in reality that presented its own complexities and difficulties for their limited brains. The number of shades of skin color would dwarf the imagination of creators of Crayola crayons. Fun fact, though, by the way, did you know if you took an entire box of Crayola crayons and you put them all into a pot and you melted them, it just come out one like shitty brown color? Fun fact. This provided an insurmountable paradox that threatened to short-circuit the thought patterns of morons' already overtaxed brains. To dumb it down, the fucktards adopted black, white, red, and yellow labels with a whole slew of creative slurs of derision to go along with them, and make it simple to focus the anger of these simpletons away from those who were enslaving and oppressing them now. Truth is, I have never seen a person who is technically any of these simple colors, if you want to be precise. Blacks are generally shades anywhere from charcoal or chestnut to beige, and whites are anything but. Even the albinos Johnny and Edgar Winter are somewhat pinkish. Another slap a sticker on it fetish of the human race is political ideology. He's fucking tackling all the taboos. I thought this was about AI. Tackling all the taboos here. Is it Thanksgiving already? Are we sitting down at Thanksgiving table already? These labels can be anything and are defined by whatever the rich and powerful of the current generation in a particular locale decide to call them. The menu of principles change depending where the greatest opportunity for control of the masses and promise of wealth lie. Conservative, liberal, right, left, Republican, Democrat, Tory, Whig, and all their gradations, modifiers, and subsets. Libertarians, moderates, progressives, socialists, communists, Tea Partiers, MAGAs, Nazis, and Klan. They all supposedly subscribe to a distinct menu of point of view, rules, values, specifications, and viscosities as tinkered by the current loudmouth piggle whore looking to obtain something, money, votes, oral sex, from you, the wide-eyed, gaping mouth novitiate. So look around. We have inaccurately mislabeled everything and everyone. A great deal of the world is hungry and lacking adequate shelter, while there is preponderance of wealth concentrated in the hands of the few, who have run out of ways to enjoy it and are left to use it to hire guardians to protect it, and generally devoid their fucktard spawn, kids, of character. We kill, maim, and wound each other daily, whether it be via war, robbery of anything of value, or just springing a clock spring in our fragile eggshell mind, thus giving us an urge to shoot up a school, church, supermarket, office, clinic, park, or club affiliated with a label we simply can't tolerate anymore. Yet our race/species has declared itself so ultra intelligent that we are capable of creating a faux intelligence capable of handling the difficult tasks of thought and emotion for us. Sounds more like either we're ultra lazy or insanely devious. And who will be writing the software? Someone who has mastered programming, but maybe not social studies, the law, love, or physical social interaction. Perhaps a virgin, you might say. However, they do have mastery of the internet to compensate for those inadequacies or lack of experience. Is this a fucking Wonka meme? Oh, so you read it on the internet. Well, then I guess it must be true. Yes, condescending Wonka. Good old condescending Wonka. Take comfort that they'll be overseen by a team of nose-discolored managers, brown nosers, with the temperament of white rabbits, and whose morals will likely be trumpeted by potential for advancement at some point. Well, the CEO and owners will, oh wait, you mean some of those fucktards or future fucktard we spoke of earlier. Well, the government will have to control. Wait, do you really want that? You're talking about our government and other governments? Guys and gals like Trump, Cruz, Jordan, Manchin, or Makin, Green, Boebert, Gates, Putin, Assad, Bin Salman, al-Assad. The ego of our organic intelligence should be deeply offended by the pointing out of these foibles and potential pitfalls in our quest for eternal idleness. A quest, by the way, which is fantasy revolt against the greed and the nouveau form of enslavement by our fucktards. Let's see if future AI chokes on that mouthful. Until we can be weaned of our addiction to labels and hone our ability at identifying bullshit, our egos will be played like a fiddle by fucktards in their pursuit of the new mountains of wealth to be had in pursuit of artificial intelligence dressed with a bow tie. Sweet! I'm assuming that's the sound that a piggle whore makes. Hey, with talk like this, they'll say, we never would have got to the moon. Or maybe it was somewhere east of Winnemucca. Let me AI that. Siri, Alexa, Bixby, whichever the fuck of you intelligent assholes are listening today. Did we really... ... Did we really? That is the question. Did we really... ... Life. Just when you think it can't get any worse, suddenly it gets even worse. Go figure. So very uplifting journal entry from JJ Kunis. Thanks for sharing that. I'd be lying if I said I didn't have fun reading it. I like a nice smarmy post, if you will, a nice smarmy post. Depending on the perspective in that post. Do you guys have something to contribute to reading time? Do you have a nice smarmy post that you would like me to read? Filled with angst and rage, perhaps? Share it with me. I'll fucking read it. Damn me too. Nothing's off limits. Look, my channel ain't monetized, and I don't plan on monetizing my channel. I do this literally for you guys, okay? Literally for you guys. Those of you who step up, stand behind your work, as well as those of you who continue to show up, show out, and show your support for the independent scene, and those who are genuinely interested in the indie scene. So whether it's an essay, an editorial, a critical review of, say, a movie or a book that you've written, I'll check it out. You know, the more long form type of critical reviews, like a blog post. If it's a first chapter of a book, I'll read that. A piece of flash fiction, some poetry. You want to get a little personal with me, you know, share some intimate kind of stuff with me. Completely your choice in the matter. And I'll leave it up to you guys. All right. Moving right along. Yes, I must stress, I do not do this shit for super chats. That's not why I'm here. Just literally would like to connect with actual human beings, not AI, actual human beings that are interested in the indie scene. All right, let's move right along to some featured media. Now, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. I have a Booktube tag video. Yes, I was tagged earlier in the week. I'll let you take one guess as to who tagged me earlier this week. Well, if you said Nicole's Bookish Nook, you would be correct. Nicole over at Nicole's Bookish Nook on Booktube/Authortube. She is an independent author herself, but she also reads quite a few indie books. As you'll see, she does these Booktube tag videos, which are pretty fun, kind of a community. They're kind of like a community building type of activity that you can participate in here on Booktube. And I'm always, I'm always flattered that she thinks of me whenever she is tagged in one of these Booktube tag videos. And I think, for the most part, I find them to be pretty fun and engaging. Sometimes difficult. It's not always easy coming up with answers for some of these prompts, but I always try to give it the old college try, as they say. Come up with something interesting for you guys, not just to answer the prompt, but make it interesting for those of you who may be watching at home. And if you are watching this, feel free to play along. And if you don't feel like making your own, participating in this tag, I've never mentioned this before, but I'll just let you guys know, if you don't feel like you don't create content, you don't do like YouTube in that way, but you're on YouTube, like just as a viewer, and you're watching this, feel free to use this as an opportunity to participate in the tag. You just pay attention to the prompts as I go through them, and you can leave a comment in the comment section down below with all your answers to these prompts, and you can play along at home, on your own time. All right, so let's check this out here. What we have, this one is called, what's this one called? I believe this is a continuation of Nicole's original Booktube tag series that is kind of revolves around music. Now she's continuing. She has Pop On Punk Songs book tag for 2023. So I guess this is going to revolve around pop/punk songs. Or punk songs that are pop. Snap, crackle, pop. I guess we'll find out. All right, there she is. Take us away, Nicole.
Welcome back, Buttercup. Thank you for joining us on another rendition of my books and songs original tag. This one is titled Pop On Punk Songs book tag, and we're mainly focusing on pop songs that I enjoy.
Pop songs.
Punk. I kind of wanted to do this for a while. I was still trying to figure out what genre I was going to choose, and then when I was talking to Adam Rodriguez and Bad and Kaz on Kaz's channel. Book is Kaz. Adam mentioned pop, and I'm like, oh wait, there is such a thing as pop.
So this is Adam's
so
fault.
We're going to go forward with this tag. This is the fourth part in this series, and I'm just excited to be here. Now, jumping into the first question, Barbie Girl by Aqua.
Oh my
A
God.
book that has dolls on the cover or a book about dolls. And I'm going to go with Doll Bones by Holly Black, about a young girl being haunted by a doll supposedly made up of bones from a murdered girl.
Oh my goodness.
Which, that is metal as hell. That is on my TBR, and I'm really interested in reading that. Cover is creepy and gorgeous at the same time, so I did have to choose this novel, even though I haven't read it yet. Number 2.
Almost looks like it is. Almost looks like it was meant for like children. That cover, that book cover. Quite a morbid premise, though, I have to say. All right, let me pull up my notes here. I did come prepared with some notes. All right, so prompt 1 for those of you playing at home is inspired by Barbie Girl by Aqua. Is that your favorite song? Be honest. We're looking for a book that has a doll or dolls on the cover, or a book about dolls. Okay, I don't know if it is physically like dolls, as in like toys, or like dolls metaphorically, like, oh, you're such a doll, like Little Miss Sunshine type of thing. I don't know, but I decided to go old school, and I chose one of my all-time favorite Goosebump books. Yes, that's right. Night of the Living Dummy by R.L. Stein. Do you guys read Goosebumps? Goosebumps? You guys read Goosebump books when you were a kid? These were all the rage back when I was in elementary school. I remember this. Had the original. I owned the original edition of this book. It's a shame I did not hold on to it, though. My original copy. I had this. I remember they used to do like the Scholastic book fairs in my elementary school. And I picked this up, and another one, I think, that had like this kid who was turned into a bee. I think it might have been Monster. No, not Monster Blood. It was something like that. But all I remember is this one. This is one of the first ones that caught my eyes. What do you guys? You guys afraid of creepy dolls? And for this prompt, I don't think it has to be a creepy doll story. However, it just so happens that the majority of stories that feature dolls just so happen to be creepy, kind of like horror themed stories. Are there some good? I would be interested to know, can you guys find any books that have like a positive message attached to that involves dolls? Like, is there any good stories out there that involve dolls that doesn't have anything to do with being creepy or try to scare the bejesus out of you?
Punk Rock 101 by Bowling for Soup, a fiction or nonfiction book about punk or rock. I am going to go with Get in the Van on the Road with Black Flag by Henry Rollins. I do love a good Henry Rollins. I actually prefer his albums that he was on Black Flag as the lead singer. The current singer is great, but I just love Henry Rollins. Really just enjoy everything that he does, even though he's an angry little nugget. Sometimes you just need angry little nuggets to make your day. And that's what Henry Rollins does whenever I listen to an interview of him or one of his songs. No.
Okay. I saw that book. I saw that. I haven't read that one. It's been so long. I don't, to be honest with you, sometimes I like forget like what a band's sound is. Like it's been so long since I listened to Black Flag. I honestly, I don't even remember the sound, their band's sound. I like some punk. I wouldn't say that I'm the biggest like punk rock fan. I know that might seem kind of a surprise for some people, but I'm really not. Some punk, like I like crust punk, but like I'm actually, for instance, like one band that I'm really not a fan of that a lot of people like is the Misfits. I'm really not a big fan of the Misfits. Danzig, yes, I like Danzig. I like a lot of Danzig songs. But the Misfits, their sound just doesn't mesh with me. There are like maybe a handful of select songs that I dig that I can get into from the Misfits, but just on a whole, their sound just doesn't do it for me. Hey, Herman. I'm doing a Booktube tag video. So what did I go with here? I went off on my tangent there. Let's see. I went with so for those of you playing at home, here's the prompt. We had Punk Rock 101 by Bowling for Soup. That was the song that inspired this prompt. And we're looking for a fiction or non-fiction book about punk or punk rock. Now, here's the thing, how I kind of interpreted this prompt is like a book that just involves punks, period. So that's how I interpret it. I wasn't sure if you meant like punk music bands specifically. So I just went with a book that has punks. I went with something that I think would fall under the category of punk, or anybody who is punk would probably categorize this book as something that would be considered punk lit, if you will, punk literature. So it involves punk and punk-like activities, if you will. So I wasn't sure if the book had to be specifically about the punk music. But nevertheless, I chose A Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess, because it's a book that I've had on my bucket list for a while now. And I also like this book cover on this edition. Almost has like an Outsiders kind of look to it. I don't know why they put a motorcycle in there though. I haven't read the novel yet, so maybe there is a motorcycle somewhere in there in the story, but I don't recall any of the characters in the movie ever riding a motorcycle. They drive around in a car recklessly, but I don't think they don't ride motorcycles. But nevertheless, they are droogs, aka I guess that's the British version of punk. Even though punk literally is more of like a British. When I think punk, like punk is something that is originally kind of a British movement. But I digress.
Number 3, Every Morning by Sugar Ray, a book that you kept reading well into the early morning. whether it was good or bad. Though I hope it was for good, because you're kind of wasting your time and your sleep if you're reading a book that you hate into the morning. But prompt is love it or hate it. And I'm going to go with this is so silly. I'm going with Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, PhD.
I see what you did there, Nicole.
Distinction, which is bad.
I dig it.
Because it is a book about why we need sleep, and the average amount of sleep that we need is 7 hours and 13 minutes. So
I thought it was 8
hours minimum.
It's like going
and
down.
9 hours for teenagers and children. 8 is kind of average, but lower, 7 hours. I did not get 7 hours. I probably got 5.5 at that time. And the problem is double, because it was a book that I borrowed from a friend, and I remember half of that book because I did not comprehend and hold on to half of that book because I stayed up too late. So I did buy it, and I'm going to reread it. Number 4.
All right. I like how you kind of go off on your tangents. All right. Yeah, sleep. What's sleep? No, I'm just kidding. I actually get plenty of sleep. I sleep like a baby most nights. Well, I don't really sleep at night, and that's what I want to get into with this one. For those of you playing at home, the prompt number 3 is inspired by Every Morning by Sugar Ray. Okay, you big Sugar Ray fan? Big Sugar Ray fan? Is that you? Going back to your middle school days or what? High school? Maybe you're in high school when Sugar Ray was around. You remember the Sugar Ray songs from the TRL show on MTV used to play when you got out of school? A book that you kept reading well into the early morning. Well, that would be just about every book I've ever read before going to bed, because I just so happen to be a night owl that typically stays up until the sun comes out. However, I decided to choose We Run Bad by John Curry. Not just a shout out an indie author, but this novel just so happens to include one of my other favorite pastimes responsible for keeping me up all night and into the early morning. No, not that. But you're pretty close, because I'm talking about a good old-fashioned game of poker. That's right.
Say My Name by Destiny's Child, a book you loved or hated about the spouse being shady or violent. And I'm going with Verity by Colleen Hoover. I don't really read books about shady or violent spouses. That's just not my interest in books, but I read this with Patrick and Brian. I don't even remember. It was sometime this year.
Except for that one book that you always like to talk about. What's it called? Dead Inside? I'm just giving you shit. And this may be, I will be surprised if you get through this entire tag, Nicole, without mentioning that book.
It was like a haze because it was not good. So I'm going to go with that. And I have said in the past, don't be like them and then you have a perfect relationship. So yeah, don't be like anyone in Verity, actually. Just bad. Number 5.
I'll take your word for it. What did I choose? So this one, I will admit, this one almost stumped me. Almost. Okay. This one almost stumped me. So for those of you playing at home, prompt number 4 is inspired by a little song called Say My Name by Destiny's Child. And we're looking for a book you loved or hated about a spouse/couple being shady or violent. And I will say The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. However, what I won't say is whether I loved it or hated it, or if I read it for the sake of pleasure or because I wanted to suffer. But after having read this novella, I will say that the original Hellraiser movie is a pretty accurate adaptation.
Iris by Goo Goo Dolls, a book that has true love as the main plot point that you loved or hated. And I'm going with A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I love that second book. I am a Reese fan. I'm okay with Feyre. Feyre is kind of
Sarah J.
annoying.
Maas.
And I mean, Reese is annoying in his own way with his growly mate thing when they realize that they're mates, and then he likes to growl a lot at people in the later books, but in this book he is pretty cute. It is better than A Court of Thorns and Roses in my opinion, and I was told the Court of Thorns and Roses is good, the second book is amazing, and then the third book is average, which that actually, for me personally, that was accurate. I rated the first book 4 stars, the second book 5 stars, and the third book 3 stars. Number 6, Blink 1.
All right, for those of you playing at home, prompt number 5 is inspired by Iris by Goo Goo Dolls, the Goo Goo Dolls, a book that has true love as the main plot point that you either loved or hated. I'm not really one for love stories, but if I have to pick one that I'm actually familiar with, then it would have to be Beauty and the Beast. Why Beauty and the Beast? Because it tells women, hey, if you're going to go for the bad boy, he's a bad boy, he's a beast, don't turn around after the fact and have the audacity and try and fix him. Okay? Remember, ladies, if you can't accept him as a beast, then you don't deserve him at his best. Also, look at this cover. Look at this book cover right here. I got a real kick out of this book cover. This book cover made me chuckle. Look at the beast, especially the beast. Just look at the way they're sitting on this bench. Can you imagine? They're just sitting in a bench on the park. Look at this book cover. This one made me chuckle because I can only imagine what kind of noble tales the beast is sharing to make a good impression upon the beauty. Yes, my dear. And that's when I said, rectum damn near killed him. The beast. Hey, Rachel. Just in time to participate in this Booktube tag. And you know the deal. Anytime you bring this up, you know what I got to say. Not too shabby, not too crabby. Thanks for asking. All right, let's keep it going with the next prompt here.
'82, All the Small Things. A satirical book or short story you've enjoyed. And I'm going to go with A Modest Proposal by Jonathan Swift. I read this in high school. I already knew that this was a satire speaking about the hunger issues and the poverty and children not being able to eat, or just anyone not being able to eat enough food in Ireland at this time for various reasons. And that's why I laughed really hard when we were reading this in English class, and people thought I was batshit crazy, but they did not know that it was satire, and they didn't know anything about this period of famine and poverty and all the problems going on in Ireland at this time. So that's why Jonathan Swift wrote A Modest Proposal. It's a political satire. And even when the teacher said it's satire and explained the whole thing for the rest of the class, I still got a little side eye for a couple of days afterwards. But you know, it is damn well fantastic. Number 7.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually something that I was just talking about the other week, is satire. That's the thing about satire, is like, it's not, because typically I'm like, oh, I'm just going to look at the work and just critique a book based on the work itself. But, you know, I actually kind of caught myself there because of a recent read that I had from the indie scene. Was intentionally satire, and I was like thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I knew this too, but for whatever reason, it just, you know, didn't cross my mind. But yeah, with satire, it's like the book, if you were to take satire on face value alone, like, it might seem like it could actually seem as though the author is being sincere, when in all reality, really, the whole book could be one big shit test. And in order for you to understand the book is one big shit test, and one book that kind of comes to mind, that I've heard of, this is the case, is Starship Troopers. Starship Troopers is one of those. The movie as well, but the movie not so much as the book, I would say. It's actually an anti-war satire. That's kind of like poking fun at like conservatism and stuff like that. But that's the point, is like, when you're reading it, you think like, oh, or if you're watching the movie, you think, oh, this is an action war movie. Like, yeah, this is supposed to be badass. Like, and like, it's a joke. Like, if you don't get it, then you're probably, you know, the person that the movie is meant to be making fun of. Like, that's the whole, like, the dipsy doodle, if you will, of satire. Satire can be real fun in that way. But in order for you to understand the satire, you have to understand the context. There's context that you need to understand going into it, is basically the point that I'm making here. But anyways, here is the prompt for those of you playing at home. Number 6. Prompt number 6 is inspired by All the Small Things by Blink 182. And this is what we're looking for here is a satirical book or short story you enjoyed. This is one that I recently checked off the old bucket list. Here's another one. Like I say, I checked off the old bucket list, and that is The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. This is a short story that satirizes the lame and the seemingly inhumane aspects of modernity. The banality, if you will, of modern life. Through the use of surrealism and metaphor, the main character wakes up one day to discover that he has literally turned into an insect. And the first thing on his mind is that he's afraid he will not be able to make it into work to provide for his family of freeloaders. Rachel shares something here. She says, I think the only one I enjoy, don't read much satire, is Boom, Boom, Boom. Boom, Boom, Boom by Ian Kirkpatrick. Someone who is very active in the indie scene. Indie author, shout out there. I like when people give indie authors a little shout out.
Pet Cemetery by the Ramones, a children's book about pets that are undead that you loved as a kid. And I'm going to possibly pronounce this word wrong because it's not a real word. Bunnicula by Deborah Howe. It's a mixture between bunnies and Dracula.
No.
Yeah, whatever. We're going forward with this. I'm not going to
You
waste
don't say.
time on trying to figure out this word. I couldn't pronounce it when I was in fourth grade. I can't pronounce it now, but it's funny. I thought it was pretty amusing.
Well, here's the thing, though. If it's Bunnicula, I'm just saying Bunnicula. Bunnicula. If it's Bunnicula, and does that mean the bunny needs to feed on blood? Because bunnies are vegetarians, last I knew. So it's a little bit of a, a little bit of a quandary there. A little bit of a quandary.
It is about bunnies that are vampires. And there's a dog and a cat with a family. It's a
also this is serendipitous because literally just last week I was making a joke about bunnies from Monty Python films. So maybe Bunnicula was that bunny from the Monty Python film, The Holy Grail. The bloodthirsty bunny. Bloodthirsty.
Great little family.
Went right for the throat.
The family adopts these weird bunnies.
You read this one,
the dog
Rachel?
And the cat, who were the main characters, they have to figure out why these bunnies are so
You
weird.
Were 7.
And it's like the concept is funny, and it's just hilarious. I don't know. I had my qualms with it when I was younger because it's like not very believable, but then again, it was amusing. I think it's like 3.5 stars out of 5. I remember liking it but not loving it.
I like how you're like taking this one very seriously, Nicole. You're like, now, if I'm to give an academic critical critique of Bunnicula, I would have to say, it was kind of a 3.5 stars for me. Not quite there.
So that's why it's 3 out of 5 stars or 3.5, whatever it is. But I do.
I'm only poking fun. Trust me, I've evaluated some pretty crazy stuff myself.
I have recommended it. I was tutoring and I was the person to go to for book racks in the tutoring center. I've recommended that book quite a few times to children or preteens, and they loved it. So it does resonate still. It's an older book. It still
definitely sounds like something to be fun for kids
today, or advanced readers that are children. I think there was one that I recommended and she was in 3rd grade, but she's She was reading at a ninth grade level. She's probably reading PhD studies at this point. She was great. Number 8.
That's a book that I think it would be fun to read. A book like that is, it looks like and sounds like it would be something fun to read to children, like out loud, get all into it and stuff. All right. Mine's going to be less glamorous. So for those of you playing at home, prompt number 7 was inspired by Pet Sematary by the Ramones, another one of those punk bands. And what we're looking for is a book about pets that are undead, specifically, that you enjoyed as an adult or a child. And all I have to say about this is this prompt seems oddly specific, Nicole. Look, if you wanted to know if I enjoyed Stephen King's Pet Sematary, all you had to do was ask, and I'd tell you the truth. I wouldn't lie to you. Okay? Next prompt.
The Passenger by Iggy Pop. A book you loved or hated about road trips or long travels in a car. I'm going with Hell's Angels by Hunter S. Thomas, who wrote about Hell's Angels.
Now, wait a minute, Nicole. I just caught this. Now, you said long road trips in a car? And then you went with Hell's Angels, which is a biker club? Hold on. Oh, okay, no. It just says road trips. All right. Or long travels. Road trips or long travels in a car. Okay. I just wanted to I felt like nitpicking.
Angels biker gang. They were 1%er biker gang back in the day. I'm pretty sure this was the time when they are somewhat known. You live in a certain area.
Yeah, somewhat.
Where they always pass by. My dad had when he was 12, 13. When was this? Pennsylvania? I think it was around there. Somewhere on the East Coast. He and my grandparents and his brother, my uncle, they were at a, what was that called? Like a camping ground. And it just so happened that the Hells Angels and the Pagans decided to have an altercation at this particular campground. And so my grandparents figured out what was going on when a bunch of bikers just decided to congregate, and they were split. And he was watching them. They weren't fighting yet, but yeah, he was watching them as the camper was leaving the area. So I know about Hell's Angels and the Pagans because he told that story when I was in elementary school. So I knew about them. Basically, in the early 2000s, we all know about Hell's Angels, but during the Hunter S. Thompson time, unless you did not interact with them in some sort of way, you did not know about these 1%er biker gangs. But then the book came out and they got popular, weirdly popular. Like, there are some things where you are definitely glamorizing and romanticizing the 1%ers.
Yeah,
Let me
most
tell you
likely.
some stories. Number 9.
Probably a lot of romanticizing, as far as that goes. All right, this is what I went with. So what was that one? Number 8. Okay, so we're on prompt number 8. For those of you playing at home, prompt number 8 is inspired by The Passenger by Iggy Pop. Okay, the prompt, what we're looking for is a book you loved or hated about road trips or about long travels in a car. Well, to my knowledge, I can't recall anything I've read that's centered around a road trip or long travels in a car. So I will admit that you stumped me on this one, but I will say that because I thoroughly enjoyed Blood Meridian earlier this year, I decided that at some point I will be reading Cormac McCarthy's The Road, which I've heard is arguably one of the most intense road trip stories one can read. So I think I did pretty good on that one. I am looking forward to it, but I try to, I want to read. So I have like my indie TBR list that I think kind of grows almost weekly. I'm always adding books to my indie TBR list. But then I also have what I call my bucket list reads. So the bucket list reads are really just a bunch of like the more mainstream, kind of like timeless and or popular literature that seems interesting to me, that I would like to read. And so this is something that I kind of added to that because I wasn't quite sure with Cormac McCarthy. I wasn't sure if I was going to, because he breaks a lot of writing conventions with his writing style, and I wasn't quite sure I was going to enjoy that. But after reading Blood Meridian, I was like, yeah, like I get it. Like it's not like you have to, like, yes, he breaks a lot of writing conventions, but like if you understand, like he structures, there is a structure to his writing style. And if you, as soon as you begin to pick up on what it is, that the way that he structures his writing style, like you begin to pick it up very easily. It's not that difficult. Now, the subject matter he writes about a completely different ballgame, and he does have a very engaging kind of writing style as well. So definitely going to be getting to The Road at some point. All right, let's keep it moving here.
Blue by Ethel 65.
Blue?
A book with either a blue cover or the word blue in the title. I'm going with Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. The background is mainly blue, and that counts. Okay. I made the question. I'm saying thumbs up to it doesn't need to be fully blue. Also, lovely book about death and how to grieve and the grieving
Lovely
process.
book about
I
death.
do recommend that book. Not just because it has blue on the cover, but it's a great message. Number 10.
All right. All right. Here we go. Blue by Eiffel 65. Why that song, Nicole? Of all the songs that you could have included, pop songs, why Blue by Eiffel 65? That has got to be one of the most obnoxious songs ever created. More so, I'd rather listen to frickin' Barbie Girl by Aqua on repeat than frickin' Blue by Eiffel 65. It's like one of those songs. It's like Baby Shark or the fucking hamster song. You remember the hamster song? It's one of those fucking songs. Gets under my skin. Anyways. So prompt number 9 was inspired by that song. And what we're looking for here is a book with either a blue cover or the word blue in the title. That's an easy one, right? I will say I got some physicals here for you. So this is a convenient one because I just so happen to have recently purchased a novel that has a blue cover. About a month or so ago, I picked up Thomas Pynchon's Gravity's Rainbow. Why did I do this? I do not know. Your guess is as good as mine. I heard of Thomas Pynchon, in all seriousness, I heard of Thomas Pynchon through the grapevine. And when I had placed the order for this book, so I had ordered this book, right? And after ordering this book, I immediately started reading Crying of Lot 49. All right. And I finished The Crying of Lot 49 before I even received this book in the mail. And let me just say that after reading The Crying of Lot 49, I have to say I'm not exactly gung-ho about diving headfirst into this friggin' this chonker, this tome of Thomas Pynchon's. But I own it now. I own it. I mean, it's something that I have, and it's in my library now. So maybe one day, I might decide to pick it up. But let me just say that there's too many other books that I think will take precedence over that one that are on my bucket list as of right now. I think The Crying of Lot 49 was about all the Pynchon that I need at this time. What's yours? Does yours count? You mean your book cover? You have a blue one? Oh, you started one that's mostly blue? What is it? Oh, your current work in progress. Gotcha. Oh, that's exciting news. Your artist started your book cover this week. Who's your artist? And your current work in progress is called Rachel Morley, A Dance of. Is that yours? Is that what your book is called? A Dance of Mist and Fury? Why does that sound like it's like a familiar kind of book title? Maybe I'm confusing it with something else. Yeah, I want to give your artist a shout out. See, we have Rachel's. If you've seen her book covers, she has some nice book covers. I've showed them on the show before from the lyrical series. She says Jubilina. She's on Twitch and Instagram. Jubilina. Is that her is that her handle? At Jubilina? Does she specialize in kind of like urban? Does she specialize in fantasy genre type book covers? Oh, I'm thinking of A Court. Yes. See, I knew it was something. A Court. One of those books. A Court of Mist and Fury. Yes, that's what I was thinking. Yours is A Dance, not to be confused with A Dance of Mist and Fury. Thank you for sharing. All right, let's go. Let's get the show on the road here.
Institutionalized by body count, the cover, because institutionalized was originally created, written, sung by Suicidal Tendencies. But I just recently came across Body Count's cover of Institutionalized with Ice-T with his punk band.
Ice-T.
Love it. I had to include it.
I'm your pusher.
Yes. The prompt for this is a book that made you angry. Very simple. That's basically what the song is about, though. So we're on point. And I'm going with Tender is the Flesh.
Heard a lot about that book.
Plot holes. Plot holes everywhere.
Really?
I read. It's in the beginning of the story where the writer says there are no animals anymore. The whole concept is that we can't eat animals no matter what type of animal. Okay, that's the red flag right there. But no animal can be eaten because there is a virus, bacteria, whatever, in all animals that will kill humans. So we eat humans. They've set up across the world, all over the world.
Soylent Green is people.
Factory farming for humans. Now, I've heard people say that they threw up in their mouths reading this book, that they cried, that they tossed it across the room, or yeah, okay, great. It's very graphic. You are going step by step in a lot of cases on basically slaughtering humans for meat.
Oh, lovely.
That's one you would do with pigs, chickens, cows, whatever.
Sounds delicious.
But you don't do that with animals anymore because supposedly virus, bacteria, or whatever are in all animals, and all the governments across the world and all the countries have killed off all the animals. Red flag number 2, 3, 4, 5, all up red flags. That's not possible. So that means you've also killed off all of the bugs, all of the insects, even the ones that we don't know about because they're in the deep, deep forest of the Amazon. Like, no, I don't believe it. And then you would not be alive in this
Nicole.
World or in, this
Tell us how you really
alternative
feel.
universe where whatever time period it's supposed to be in, humans would be dead as well. You don't need a virus, bacteria, whatever the fuck it is that this writer is saying is in all the animals, or government.
Did Nicole just drop an F-bomb?
Are saying.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard you drop an F-bomb, Nicole. On YouTube. I think I'm a bad influence on you.
We would die eventually without animals. That is the hugest plot hole in this book. And then a little later, guess that was caught because in the book it says, oh yeah, there's animals, there's insects, yeah, and there's small animals like in a pond. Yeah, there's frogs and all that stuff. But we killed like the big game animals, but not really, because there's still dogs out in the forest. Like, are you serious? Okay. It could have been better if you just said.
The jump cut. The jump cut tells me like maybe you went and took a break, and then you thought about it for a minute, and then you're like, no, I'm going to handle this. And then you hit record again because you had more to say. I ain't done yet.
Mammals have this virus or bacteria, and then left out all the other animals, and somehow, some way, all the countries, or most of the countries, or at least the country that this book is set in have agreed to not eating insects and reptiles for protein, and now we're, trying human flesh. Does that completely work? No, but it still makes sense, way more sense compared to, yeah, there's no animals at all on Earth anymore. Wait, just kidding. There are, but like not really, but actually yes. Come on. And number 11 isn't a question, but
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those like horror gimmick type thing. I don't know if it was meant to be a horror. Sounds pretty horrific. Definitely sounds like it falls under a horror category, like one of those strange horror type categories where they're imagining this scenario where it's like, would you eat human flesh? Just very like to an obsessive level. And it's like, cannibalism is just one of those taboos that's just, for me, it's been played to death. Especially in the horror genre. Like, I'm really not moved by like cannibal stories. Almost like to the point where like there's just been too many people that use cannibalism as like a shock value, just for the sake of shock value type of deal. And it's just fucking gross to think about, really. Now, because it's like, oh, well, I'll put it to you like this. I say this with food in my belly, it's another thing where like, what's that? The Donner Party. Remember the Donner Party from like, was it Oregon Trail or whatever the hell? And they ended up like the people in that party, like they ended up like eating one another or eating members of the group. Now, when your belly hits the back of your spine, who knows what kind of crazy shit goes on inside your mind, right? I've never been in that predicament before. I don't know. However, I would like to think that there's no way in friggin' hell. Like, I'd rather just friggin' die. I think I would rather just friggin' die than imagine myself like, cooking someone's fucking leg over an open flame or something like that. Like, that would just gross me out. Like, I don't think I could be. I don't think it's possible for me to be that fucking hungry to where that looks appetizing to me, or just knowing where it came from, like, would be enough to disgust me, And then when it came to the bugs, because you say in this world there's no friggin' bugs somehow, and the Earth is still functioning, which I don't think, I agree with you. I don't think that's possible. If there's no insects at all, then I think the Earth like will actually cease to function, at least in the way that it does right now. At least just from a scientific standpoint. But if I was forced to say, would you eat the bugs? Would you eat the bugs? Or would you eat human flesh? Then yeah, like I would be more willing to try eating bugs than I would ever attempt to eat human flesh. And again, I say that with food in my stomach, but again, I would like to think that I would have the mental fortitude to stick by my, I wouldn't even say, I mean, it could come down to beliefs too. It's a contentious, like the idea of cannibalism is such a shocking, the reason why cannibalism is such a shocking taboo is because it's not just about eating. It's not just about eating for the sake of survival, right? It also comes down to beliefs and belief structures and cultural beliefs and things of that nature, savages and stuff like that. They eat their own. They're savages, uncivilized. It's that kind of has that type of stuff connected to it as well. And that ties into a whole slew that can open up a whole can of worms when it comes to like IQ, genetics, and all sorts of things. All right. Hey, Rainer, what's going on? Late. I was having dinner. Well, hopefully you still have an appetite as far as that goes. Impeccable timing. Rachel's got something for us here. And by the way, Rachel, I saw what you were saying about your artist. I'll save it. If I remember, I'll try to bring that up during the wrap up. So Rachel says here, watch History Channel's Alone. It's an excellent series. 10 experts get dropped separately in the Arctic with one bag of stuff and a bunch of cameras and told to vlog. Last one standing wins. 500,000. Good luck. Yeah, no, thank you. No, thank you. That's another one of those things where it's like, I don't really care about money. I don't care about money that much to do something like that. Really, Ray? Is that what's on the menu tonight, Rainer? Bugs Burgers by Legsley Fecko is the best. Oh yeah, no doubt. No freaking doubt. Ugh. It's like another one of those shows. It's like those shows. Was it Naked and Alone? Or what's the one where they put? I like the one where it's like, I haven't watched like a whole season of it. I've just seen like actually, because I don't watch TV, but I've seen clips of the shows. What's that one where it's like they drop? Well, for one, there's like Survivor, right? Everyone knows Survivor. But there was specifically, I remember there was like a Survivor where it's like they had the men's camp and they had the women's camp. And they were like, oh, who's talking shit now, right? Who's going to see who can do what if left on an island, left to their own devices? Who survives best, men or women, when left to their own devices? I like little dynamics like that. And there's another show too where it was the naked one, where it's like one dude and one woman, and it's kind of a, what's that show, that kind of romantic show, movie, The Lagoon or something like that. You have to know the one that I'm referring to, where it's like it's kind of a YA survival type story, but it's like it's just a dude, it's just one dude and one woman, and they're trying to survive together on an island. It's very romantic type of story, type of narrative, and I like that. Interesting. That's an interesting type of dynamic, and you just see like how like a it's an isolated case, but of just like this male female relationship dynamic kind of playing upon that, and like based on certain paradigms. Like if anything, I think that those shows are really just meant to kind of shine a light on just how far removed civilized society is from kind of like what's meant to be perceived as like the natural order, if you will, or natural law, the laws of nature. So it's just interesting to see those things at play, I think. Which, spoiler alert, that Naked and Afraid or whatever that show is, the man doesn't end up eating the woman alive. I don't think they would allow that on TV, even live TV. I think the producer might have a problem with that. Cannibal Holocaust did that though, but that's fiction. However, you, Rachel, you don't you have a homestead or something like that? You might fare well. You might be an anomaly in that sense. You think how well do you think you would fare if you were left alone to survive on an island? It's just you and one dude on an island, but you're separated, or you are one of a group of chicks in a tribe of chicks, of women, and there's a tribe of men, and you're separated. Do you think you would be the boss? You'd be the boss, the girl boss of the group? Would that be you? Let's see what you say here. Oddly enough, toughest place wasn't in the Arctic. It was in Mongolia. Mongolians! And I'm laughing because that's legit just how the nomads live on the daily. I can't imagine. Just one thing. I will name one thing right now that will fuck up most people. And I kind of throw myself in there as well. Even though, I'm a Maina. I'm no stranger. I'm no stranger to being outdoors. I've been outdoors in the woods quite a few times growing up. But one thing that I think would fuck up a lot of people or leave a lot of people fucked up is no indoor plumbing. That's right. No place to poop. You think that just that one simple little thing that people take for granted on a daily, indoor plumbing, you take that away, holy shit. And I mean that in the literal sense of the word. Can you imagine if New York City sewage system failed and suddenly there's no indoor plumbing across the entire state? Just imagine how disgusting things would get. Quick, fast, in a hurry when you hit flush on that toilet and it don't work. Talk about a nightmare. A nightmare that no one considers. Within one day, literally within one day, 24 hours, that place could become a freaking hellscape of stank and dysentery and just, yeah, bad scenario. Oh, come on. You don't think so? Maybe the producers will conveniently drop in a goat or a boar for you to hunt. A sitting duck. I remember there was a clip where the women's tribe, there was literally a pig. God bless their hearts, women. This is what happened. I remember this fucking clip. Okay, it was the women's tribe, and you don't work well with women. The women's tribe. The producers literally baited them and left. Like, the women were doing, spoiler alert, they weren't doing well, especially compared to the men's tribe. Okay, the men were working together. When there's a problem to overcome, like, men, we're very competitive. Men are very competitive, but give us a fucking an external problem to solve, and all of a sudden men start working together. Like, it's just natural. Like, we all just we combine our minds to solve problems. Like, we're literally built to solve problems. So when there's like an external threat, or we're facing an external conflict or an issue or something like that, men will band together to take care of said problem. So the men's tribe were doing fine. They had shelter. They were getting food. Shit, they were so well set up at that by a certain time in the show that some of them were just fucking kicking back and having fun, like just relaxing. Whereas the women's tribe, not so much. They were struggling. Let's just say they were struggling. However, the producers of the show, pulling the strings behind the scene, they weren't going to allow the women to just kind of fall by the wayside without tossing them a bone. All right. So what did they do? They put a fucking hog, a nice, meaty, but not too big, so it would be an actual threat, little pig, tossed them a hog out there that they could hunt and they could have some sustenance because they were struggling. And what did these women do? They fucking took the pig and they couldn't kill it. They kept it as a fucking pet. God bless their hearts, those women. They kept the fucking pig as a pet. That fucking made me chuckle, dude. Fucking hilarious. I don't remember the show. I'm pretty sure it was some Survivor or something like that. But it was fucking, oh man, it was just fucking hilarious. They couldn't bring themselves to kill the pig. I think honestly, I think that was just TV. Because a lot of those reality shows, they're like semi-scripted. You know, there's usually like in the episodes, the producers will try to create like a narrative, if you will. There'll be like this, there will be like this like overarching type of like narrative, but it's not like 100% scripted. But there's usually some sort of narrative for the episode. Anyways, I'm freaking going off on tangent here. So what were we on? Institutionalized. That's right. So number 10, this is the last prompt for those of you playing at home. Number 10 was inspired by institutionalized by Body Count. Yes, Ice-T. And what we're looking for here is just simply a book that made you angry. Yeah, it's just rage. Something that made you rage. And I have something that I read recently this year. And that is The Antichrist by Friedrich fucking Nietzsche. Okay. Now, this is actually the second work of his that I've read. The first was Beyond Good and Evil, which I found humorous. Like this shit right here. Like this is laugh out loud funny at some parts. And if you know, as far as that goes. It's an inside job, let's just say. Wait, what's today? No, it's an inside joke is what I meant to say. The Antichrist, however, did nothing for me except to exemplify and validate my assumptions about the impotent rage that Nietzsche harbored. It's no surprise to me that there's insurmountable internet fanboys of Nietzsche's work. Because if Nietzsche was alive today, he himself would be nothing more than a 4chan message board fucking edgelord. Okay? That's where you would find the alleged Ubermensch spending the majority of his time. No doubt about it. Yeah. Book that made me angry? I got a list. Oh, Rachel's got a shit list going on. You should tap into that shit list sometime. Any indie books on that shit list? I'd be happy to hear it. Do you write reviews? Or do you like keep a journal? Do you keep a journal or anything like that? All right, let's finish up Nicole's video here.
It is to tag as many people as you can. So I'm going to tag Jonathan because I've tagged him in the other videos. I'm going to tag Adam.
I've missed a single one of your videos, Nicole.
Casey and Nathan. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest.
Thanks for tagging me in that. That was fun. You'll let me like your video. Thanks for tagging me, Nicole. Always a pleasure. That was a fun one, I have to say. That was a fun one. And it wasn't too difficult. I had to think about it. I definitely had to think about it, but it wasn't too difficult. Once I, some of these tag videos, you really got to sit down. You got to think about the prompts. But I feel like if you give it some time, like you don't try to do it all in one sitting, if you kind of give it some time and ruminate about it, like sometimes books will just like pop up in your head. And you're like, oh yeah, I remember that one. I haven't thought about that book in a while. What is that? What is that you say? Rayner's got one. Oh, here we go, Rayner. Rayner says, I think the latest book that made me angry was Nothing But Blackened Teeth. Nothing But Blackened Teeth. Is that the one that has like the kind of like, is that the one that sounds familiar to me? Let me Google that real quick. Yeah, that's the exact one that I was thinking of. That book cover. I didn't remember the title, but the book cover is what kind of popped up in my mind. Oh, what's going on here? I just wanted to show that. You're talking about this one, right? Nothing But Blackened Teeth. Obviously, I mean, it's got one of those kind of unique book titles. This is like a new trend too in like the horror community to like have these kind of like, it's kind of like a full freaking sentence as like the book title. But I did think that the cover looks pretty cool. But you say pissed you off, made you angry. Says prominently right on the cover there, a USA Today bestseller. You like them bestsellers? I'm giving you shit. What do you have, Rachel? You do leave reviews? Do you leave negative reviews? I do. Well, not necessarily. Negative and positive can be perceived in different ways. I just leave honest fucking reviews. Am I a little bit? No, I'm not going to say anything else about it. I'm just honest in my reviews, and I also aim to entertain with my reviews as well. Well, with my editorials. Yeah, the geisha one. That's what I almost said. The geisha one. You say bull crap. It was bull crap story. Waste of the setting. So this is what I got to do now. So number 11, for those of you who plan on, making a video out of it, I suppose those of you just playing in the comment section down below, you don't have to worry about prompt number 11. But prompt number 11 is just to tag people, just to tag some people. And I always make it a point to tag people, or else, when I'm making the video out of it, because it's really, these tag videos are meant to be a community building kind of exercise, just a little way of kind of having a little, like, interacting with people, just a little hello, basically, like saying to another content creator, hi, I see you. I recognize that you exist. And this is something fun. I notice your content. Maybe you might want to give this a try, type of thing. It's nothing too personal. It's not weird. It's just a way of like kind of reaching out to people without coming across as being weird or anything like that. So seeing as how the theme for this book tag is pop songs, I suppose it'd be appropriate if I tag some girly bops. But unfortunately, I can't think of any off the top of my head. So this is what I'm going to do. All right. I'm going to search Booktube for 3 girly bop channels, or what I perceive to be girly bop channels that appear to pop out among the herd. Okay, that's what we're going to do live on the air. All right, let me get this ready. Let's find, I've never, I'm just going to tag 3 channels that, I've never interacted with before. This could be new people. This could be whatever. It's what I perceive to be, from first impression, a girly bop channel. Okay, because these are pop songs. Girls are the ones who like pop songs most of the time. I mean, I don't want to come across as problematic, but I mean, facts are facts. All right, girly bops, let's go. I need some girly bops. All right, what do we got here? Underrated series that Booktube is sleeping on. I don't know. That doesn't necessarily, sort of. The thumbnail definitely says girly bop to me, but we'll see. Hold on. Booktube as a job versus Booktube as a hobby. Now that is definitely some girly bop talk right there. That's definitely some girly bop talk. So I'm going to tag Elliot Brooks. Elliot, consider yourself tagged. Hopefully I haven't offended you by labeling you as a girly bop. And let's see. Let's keep going here. Some girly bops. Can we trust Booktubers? Reading Booktube recommendations. This one sounds a little bit catty. I have to say, that one sounds a little bit catty. From Books and Lala. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Your handle is Books and Lala. You're definitely a girly bop, I have to say. Books and Lala. I'm going to tag Books and Lala. And what was that other one? Because YouTube isn't giving me a lot of recommendations here. Meg with Books. So I'm only going to tag 3. I'm going to tag Meg with Books, Elliot Brooks, 2 Brooks here, and also Books and Lala. Consider yourselves tagged and enjoy Pop On Punk Songs book tag for 2023. Very fun. And if you have some media that you'd like to share with me, it doesn't have to be a video, but say if you do like a web series, like an audio web series or something like that, it's not too long. I like to keep it around, under 20 minutes, preferably, or around like half hour tops. But share some media. Share some media with me. Okay, it could be writing related. It could be like a video essay, you reading your own poetry work or short stories, anything like that. Share it with me, and I may share some commentary, kind of give my first impressions, and I think it would be fun. But I think I've spent enough time on this segment. We're going to keep things rolling here. Underrated series. Rainer says, underrated series, Poison City. There's no bias there, is there? No bias. Buy my book. Buy my book. I'm just fucking with it. Of course, there's also an underrated novella, too, Lime's Fable, in case you guys haven't heard of it. It's a little... novella that recently came out called Lime's Fable. Maybe you've heard of it. All right, let's keep it moving into the final segment before we kind of wrap things up here tonight, and that is hot topic for content creators. Yes, hot topic for content creators. You heard the title. This is where I pitch a hot topic to you guys, and then you guys turn around, if you feel so inclined, and you create your own content on said topic. Or else you could just go ahead and drop me some comments down below, or check out any of my previously pitched hot topic videos. Okay. So tonight's hot topic of discussion has to do with merit versus market. Merit versus market. All right. And the subject I have for you revolves around the idea that numbers indicate merit. Yes, numbers indicating merit. Now, of course, there are numerous subjects that could stem from that concept alone. But for this conversation, I want to focus specifically upon the idea that sales equals success. Okay. My angle on this subject is that I would like to dispel the notion that sales equals success, and therefore that should indicate the work itself holds merit. I think this is actually a common misconception among consumers. To tell you the truth, I believe it has become commonplace based upon the sheer audacity, and I mean that in the literal sense of the word, we'll get into it, as well as the increased popularity of what I call hype culture that has been bolstered by social media personalities. I just said a mouthful there. So let me reel it in. Let me reel it in here, and I'll lay it out piece by piece. So like rooting for a favorite sports team. People want to associate with winners. It's not about the individual appreciating a piece of work for what it's worth, but it's about feeling as though the individual is part of the team, so to speak. It's the same kind of psychological indoctrination that many fans of team-based sports are susceptible to. So sales numbers are no longer seen as an individual success attributed to the artist or the publishing house directly involved in whatever project or product that was being sold to the consumers, but actually marketed as an achievement that is thanks to the consumers themselves. Now, this element of sales equals success is nothing new in terms of marketing tactics. Making the consumer feel as though they themselves have personally achieved something from the financial success of someone else's project taps directly into that sports fan type of mentality where people are encouraged to live vicariously through the feats of others. So sales numbers are no longer meant to represent the number of units sold, but actually becomes a metaphorical scoreboard to see how your team, aka your artist or publisher, measures up against the competition. Why is competition in quotes here? Scoreboards work in sports because competition is the point. Watching two teams compete to see who wins is the purpose of sports, but that's not the purpose of art. Now, some people may say that there's competition when it comes to getting people's business, and that has to do with marketing, and I would agree. But supporting artists simply based upon sales figures is the equivalent of switching which team you root for based upon whoever is scoring the most points. I think you can see how the very notion of artists being in competition with one another is about as absurd as a sports fan who changes out jerseys on the fly based upon performance alone. However, this does not stop some people from tapping into that sports fan mentality of wanting to be associated with the winners, because no one wants to be associated with a loser. Am I right? And how do we know if an artist is a winner or a loser? Sales, baby, because the numbers don't lie. Or do they? What if I told you that sales has less to do with measuring the success of any particular product on the market than it does with measuring the amount of money spent on a product or the amount of units purchased? Very important language here. Sales is just a reflection of the amount of money spent and the amount of units purchased. The whole concept of sales equals success begins to fall apart as soon as the consumer realizes that sales is just a reflection of the amount of money spent on a product and or the number of units purchased, but may also reflect the number of times a product was purchased, which does not, I repeat, does not accurately reflect the amount of people who appreciate said product. So this is why I am wary of any so-called artist that uses this kind of like sports team method of marketing their work as if I have some personal fucking investment as to whether or not their product wins. At least sports fans may actually have bets riding on how many points their team scores. But what the fuck does winning mean when we're talking about buying books, movies, and other works of fiction? Look, I'm willing to accept that there's going to be fans of certain artists that will buy whatever the individual puts out onto the market, just like there are sports fans who will support their team no matter how many losses that team accumulates over their career. But in this instance, I'm not actually referring to sales numbers, but the quality of the work itself based on the consumer experience. The idea that sales equals success is just flawed thinking, because that allows shady businessmen who may have a silent support group of wealthy connections backing them to utilize an us versus them marketing strategy to manipulate consumers into adopting a sports fan kind of mentality to garner their success, let's just say. When sales equals success, the shady businessman wants to hear you, the consumer, chanting, "We will win, we will win." Because at the end of the day, winning in this context involves you opening your wallet, and it turns their product into a personal trophy that symbolizes your effort to make their work a financial success. But is that success thanks to the merit of their work or the effectiveness of their marketing strategy? What do you think? Are you a consumer who's manipulated by sales numbers? Are you somebody who only reads bestsellers? Have you adopted a sports fan psychology when it comes to which piece of fiction you're willing to consume? Are you someone who has to vet each artist and decipher which team they represent in order for you to appreciate a piece of work? Let me know in the comments down below. And be honest. Really think about it. This is a subject that is very intriguing to me because for me, it's like watching a social experiment unfold right before my eyes. I have to admit, I'm baffled sometimes. I can't help but wonder what the hell is going through some people's minds. I think we're living in a day and age where people will buy just about anything as long as it has the right marketing and appears to be successful. I mean, look at Belle Delphine. That chick was selling bottled bath water, for Christ's sake. Some unholy water, if you will. In fact, you could say that the agua was tainted. But I rest my case. All right. And that's it for tonight. We're going to wrap things up now. Let's move into the wrap up. But before I begin to wrap things up, let me put on some theme music for you guys. Theme music. Here's the theme music for tonight. You're home from work. You kick off your dirty boots. You just finished cooking your TV dinner. You grab yourself a nice cold can of your favorite adult beverage, plop your ass down into your lazy boy recliner, ready to receive the evening report from your trusty news anchorman. Is there such a thing nowadays? Right, the news anchors, you know how the news anchors, they always like look at the camera. They like swivel towards the camera. All right, let's see if we got some comments this week. From last week's stream from Rainer Chan. What's going on, Rainer? Hey, stranger. How you doing? Says, thank you for the read and feedback. Yeah, I'll definitely go on more dives in detail with genre breakdown in my next video. The same genre? I was saying, because last week he was talking about rules horror, which is a very specific subgenre of horror, where... thanks for the comment. Where you have to follow the rules, and if you don't follow the rules, you die. That's rules horror in a nutshell. But I think that would be cool, Rainer. If you do more genre, like if you do other genres and stuff too. I know you want to do more examples of rules horror, but if you do more genre specific type breakdown videos, I think that would be fun to like feature those videos. So share the link with me if you do. And definitely would look forward to watching them live on the stream. And also, now it's time for the super secret question of the week. That's right. Every week, for those of you who tune in live on Monday nights during the show, if you're in the live chat, I put up a poll for you guys. It's a yes or no question, but it's a super secret question that only if you're here while I'm live, if you know, you know, as far as that goes. It's the super secret question of the week. So I'm not going to say what the question was, but I will announce the results. The results are in. This week's yes or no question was a 50-50 split. 50-50 split from this week's question. 50% of the people who participated said yes, and 50% of the people who participated said no. So if you know, you know. Now I know. Your secret's safe with me, though. Don't worry about it. I got a 50-50 shot of who said what. All right, guys. That's it for me this week. I hope y'all had some fun. I hope y'all discovered something new. But don't fret, because guess what? I will be back here for you next week, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 p.m. Pacific. Have a good week.